goodwill. Be very careful then how you live. Paul, Ephesians 5:15. Goodwill discovers work. Work creates the renovation. Renovation finds goodness. Goodness reveals the spirit of service. Be very careful then how you live. Sorry guys. The spirit of service reaches understanding. Understanding achieves humility. Humility covers love. Love generates renunciation. Renunciation reaches the light. The light realizes self-involvement. Self-involvement sanctifies the individual. A sanctified individual converts the world towards God. By walking prudently for simple goodwill, the individual will reach the divine kingdom of the light. Let's pray. Dear Lord, our Master Jesus, and all the benevolent spirits that assist us in our journeys, in our lives, and here today. We thank you for the sublime opportunity to be here together through the internet, but with our hearts together to reflect, to learn a little bit more about the divine laws, about the virtues. We humbly want to ask for your benevolent hearts. Help us to understand a little bit more about the importance of this beautiful virtue, humbleness. About the importance of this virtue to our lives, to the lives of the ones that live with us, for our happiness, for our grow as immortal spirits. That may our meeting be blessed with the light of the goodwill, so we'll be able to be open, so you'll be able to understand and to bring to our hearts the reflections that we're going to share here today. May the benevolent spirits be with us and help us not only in this meeting but in all moments of our lives. So be it. All right, so let's start. So, as I said at the beginning, our virtue of the month is humbleness. And we are going to talk today about the importance of this virtue for our happiness. Nowadays, we are in this society living without really know how humble is important, how humbleness is important for us. We are more concerned about what we have than what we are. And we are searching for happiness outside of ourselves when happiness is within ourselves. In the chapter 7 of the Gospel according to Spiritism, Kardec says that this virtue, humbleness, is essential for our emotional balance, as such for our happiness. We're going to talk today about what some philosophers think about this virtue, about some quotes that they brought to us, some philosophers from a long time ago, some modern philosophers. We are going to talk about what the gospel taught us, teach us about humbleness. We're going to talk about what the doctrine of the spirits teach us about humbleness. Today, we are going to talk about what nature shows us about humbleness, specifically about what water can teach us about humbleness. So hopefully I'm able to share with you what I have been reflecting about, what I have been studying about this beautiful virtue that touched a lot, deeply, my heart. I'm still an apprentice, as all of us, and as such I have some limitations, and I'm not sure if I'll be able to bring this virtue, to bring the total meaning of this beautiful virtue, but I'm going to do my best to share with you what I have been learning. So without further ado, let's go to our reflections. So I would like to ask to everybody to reflect about those questions, and let's see if we can bring some answers to them during our reflections today. So, what does humbleness mean to you? Or what does humbleness mean to me? Do I see this virtue in myself a little bit? Because we don't have any virtues totally complete in ourselves, but can I see a little bit of this virtue in myself and in others? What are the most practical ways to develop it? Is there such thing? Practical way to develop this virtue? And what examples of humbleness do I remember and I feel motivated to follow? So with those questions in mind and other ones that if you would like to share with us, I'll be glad to try to respond all the questions. I have the YouTube opened here, so I'm able to see, maybe I can see your questions and I probably be able to answer if I know the answers. But let's talk about this, and let's talk about one question that is a main question, one of the main questions from the Spirits book, the question 115. I believe that most of you know already this answer, this question, but I would like to bring up again because it's very important for what we are gonna talk today. And I would like that you pay attention through some phrases or sentences that I highlighted, because those are the sentences that you're going to refer to on our way through our talk today. So let's go through this answer. This is the answer from the superior spirits for the question that Kardec asked, the 115, where he asked, are some spirits created good and others bad? And then the superior spirits answered, God created all spirits simple and unaware, meaning lacking all knowledge. God has given them each a particular mission to enlighten them and help them gradually reach perfection through the knowledge of the truth and rise closer to Him. Spirits acquire knowledge by experiencing the trials inflicted by God. While some accept these trials with resignation and arrive at their destiny more quickly, others are defiant and remain far from the perfection and happiness promised to them through no fault other than their own. So I just would like to call your attention to those sentences that are highlighted in orange, because we are going to, as I said, refer to them when we are talking about this virtue, humbleness, and how important this virtue is for our learning process, for our evolvement as immortal spirits. So, having this just as a recall of what Spiritism says about the process of learning, how we were created, what we're doing here, and where we're going to, I would like to bring the nature example, how to be humble, and specifically, like I said, about the water. So, this philosophy of water we learned from a very young boy called Raymond Tang. He's a Chinese fellow, and he was, in his talk, he was saying that he was very stressed, very anxious about his life. He was reading tons of self-help books, and he couldn't find the peace, he couldn't find the meaning of his life, until he gets this book called, it was actually a poem book, and was a Chinese poem, very antique poem book, from more than 2,000 years ago. In this book, he found this poem that was describing the philosophy of water, and that I would like to share with you what I learned from him. So we know that water is a combination of hydrogen and oxygen. 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen. So with this abbreviation, we're going to bring 3 lessons that the water can teach us. So the first one is humility. Just would like to states that humility and humbleness mean the same thing. Both have the same meaning. So you're going to see here I am saying humility sometimes and humbleness another time, but both has the same meaning, okay? So humility, it's what water can teach us about humility. So water is a source of life. Wherever it goes, creates life around it, among it. So keep animals alive, help plants grow. And in never the water requests recognition or rewards. The water in a river flows towards the sea, and the sea is always in a lower level. So what does it mean? The water helps us to understand that wherever we go, we can donate to others what we have the best. We try to help others in our journey, giving the best what we can, and always thinking like the water is low, we just try to keep us in a lower level. Or what I mean with this is humbleness gives us the capacity to remain grounded, to learn and to help during our journey. When we practice the virtue, when we help others in our journey, we feel this inner peace. We feel that our hearts is full of contentment and full of happiness to be able to help others succeed. So, like the water, as a result of helping others, we are fulfilling our role here. We are learning with helping others through their experience in life, and also we are teaching. We are dependent. We have this mutual help. We give help and we receive help in our journey. Another lesson that the water gives us is harmony. Why? Because even though there are lots of obstacles in a river, when a river flows towards the sea, the water will not argue with the obstacles, will not fight against the obstacles. The water will just trying to counter them, trying to deviate from them, and trying to learn from these obstacles in a very harmonic way. So, if what we can learn from that is when the conflicts or the challenges that life brings to me is not for making me feel sad or anxious or angry. It's trying to bring me some lessons. How can I solve this problem? How can I understand this situation in a way that it's not conflicted, that I can solve a problem in a harmonic way, talking with myself and trying to figure out how can I solve that situation without losing my temper, without being angry or anxious. Just learning from that lesson. What do I need to learn from this? When I learn to shift my focus, to try to fight, to try to force a situation, to try to transform myself and to seek in myself the solutions for that situation, I feel the harmony inside me. Because I cannot control anything outside me, what people do, what people think, how people react, but I can control how I feel, how I react, how I can solve that problem. So it's all inside me. The other one, that lesson that water brings to us, is the openness. So the water is open to change. If the water depends on the temperature, if the water is in a hot temperature, you'll be liquid, in a cold you'll be solid, or you'll be in a gas state. If the water is in a cup, the water becomes a cup. If it's in a bottle, the water becomes a bottle. So the water shows us how to be adaptable and flexible, and to be opened to change. Life is always inviting us to change. It's always bringing us new situations and bringing us opportunities to change ourselves. So, humbleness is a virtue of people that are open to learn, open to change. Help others in their learning process, and will help us with our learning process too. Because as I said, we can learn from each other. It's important to be open. It's important to be opened up, to step up and cause a ripple effect. It's a very nicely abbreviation of H2O, humility, harmony, and openness. So these three words has so much to do with our self-transformation. All right, with this philosophy of water in mind, let's try to understand a little bit more about this beautiful virtue called humility or humbleness. Understand what is humbleness. So one of the quotes that I would like to bring here is this one that says, that brings a little bit of the meaning of humbleness. So it's a virtue that is characterized by the awareness of our own limitations, but also that of our own value. So we all know that we have many limitations, and that's because as we saw in the first slide about the question 115, we were created simple and unaware. So we are here learning day by day, existence after other existence. So we have lots of limitations because we don't know everything yet. We're still learning. We are apprentices. But also that of our own value. So we cannot forget that we have some qualities that we have already conquered during our journeys. Of course, our qualities are not completed because as a seed that we have inside ours, all the virtues, they need to be cultivated during long times until they can germinate, they can grow, they can become big trees, and they can be able to give fruits. So we are in this process, and with this in mind, we are going to see that humbleness is in the middle of two extremes. One, that we see us as lots of limitations and we are not capable. And the other side, we see us as we are perfect. We know everything. We don't need to learn anything anymore. So these two processes, these two extremities are very dangerous. because both of them keep us distance from the divine laws, from God. So we are invited to find the middle way. And it's always good to remember what this word humbleness or humility means, where this word came from. Humility, origin of the Greek word humus, humilis or humilis, which means that one, what is on the ground. Like I said, the water in a river, it's very low. The sea is in a low level. So let's keep us on the ground. We are still apprentices. We are here to learn. With that in mind, and with this, the good will that motivate us to keep looking, to keep searching for knowledge, we keep learning every day. We are invited to recognize our weak side, but also to recognize our strong side. We can, knowing that we are going to know what we can do and what we cannot do. All right, so which example from Jesus, beside those quotes and beside all these philosophic thoughts, we can bring to you? So I would like to bring this passage from the Gospel that was brought to us by Mark, where Jesus explained or show us how humble what he thinks about humbleness. So I would like to read this passage for you because it's very important for us to understand what we can do and what we cannot do. So as Jesus started on his way, a man ran up to him and fell on his knees before him. "Good teacher," he asked, "what must I do to inherit eternal life?" "Why do you call me good?" Jesus answered, "No one is good except God alone." So what Jesus wants to show us with this statement? Why do you call me good? Because we all know that Jesus is a pure spirit. So all the virtues is within him. He is the personification of all the virtues. So he was good. But he wants to show us that he recognized his fair value. Yes, he is our master. He is the master of the humanity. He is our educator who knows the divine laws deeply. He is our model. He is a virtuous man that we are invited to model, as per the question 625 from the Spirit's book, where Kardec asks to the superior spirits what is the most perfect type that God has offered to human beings, and the superior spirits answered, "Look at Jesus." So, and he recognized himself as a master, as the door, as the good shepherd, as I am the door, I am the truth, I am the life, I am the light of the world. But he says, good only God. Because besides he is a pure spirit, God is above all of us. All of us. So, and with this example, Jesus showed us a very good example of humbleness. He knows what he is and what he is not. So the same as us, what we are and what we are still need to develop, what we still need to learn. Alright, so having this in mind, we always to remember that we are apprentices of life. It's always good to have this expression, this statement in our hearts, in our minds every time. I may be wrong. So this is a quote that I would like to bring for you that says, humility is the appropriate consequence that follows the statement, I may be wrong, and requires responsibility to learn from the experiences and knowledge available. So actually, this quote is a very short extract from a lecture presented in Japan in 1998 that was talking about bioethics. That it's bioethics. It's kind of a study about what is right and what is wrong, and the new discovery and techniques in biology. So it's very interesting that we can learn from everything. There are so many sources out there that helps us with our learning process. So when we incorporate this phrase, I may be wrong, within our concepts, within our decisions that we have to make, in all comments that or opinions that we want to give to others, it's interesting because we are going to show to the others that we are open to learn. We might be wrong. I don't know everything. That's my idea about this subject, but I might be wrong. So in these circumstances, we are showing and to the other person that we are open to learn, and we can learn. We can learn from what other people think about that subject, what their ideas are, and by observing them, by observing what I know and what other people know, with a genuine interest to learn, I can develop this apprentice feeling. And to have apprentice feeling, that it's another virtue, it's important to recall that for the apprentice feeling we have to have the humbleness virtue and the meekness virtue. That we don't argue, we don't fight, we accept naturally that what other people think about the same point, the same subject. So, and we is always, again, recall from the question 115, we were created simple and unaware. So we might be wrong in many times about what we think about our concepts, right? So we are all invited to learn from many circumstances, many people, from our own experience as well. So another point that I would like to bring, it's the point of, if I am open to learn from others, from other experiences, it's important that I learn from myself as well. So how can I do that? So Joanna de Angelis, from his book Self-Discovery, an inner search, she brings us the importance of self-discovery and humility. We are only able to self-knowledge, to have a self-knowledge, if we are humble, if we are practicing this virtue. So let's see what she says. Self-discovery leads to humility before life, without a humiliating posture. Because it allows the radiation of love from the center of the self, aware of its reality and divine origin. So what can we reflect about this statement from Joanna de Angelis? When she says here, self-discovery leads to humility before life, we can reflect that life can bring us lots of challenges. But those challenges are also opportunities for us to learn. to learn from them. So if we have this posture of humility, of this behavior of, I want to learn, I don't know yet how to solve this situation, how to deal with this problem, how to handle this situation, I am practicing the virtue of humbleness, because I know that I don't know. And it's okay. It's okay, because we are apprentices. So the same way we can learn from the other experience, what they are passing through life, how they are dealing with this and this situation, right? So if we learn, so that's an invitation to look inside ourselves, to see what are the limitations that we still have with humbleness, which means without the self-guilty, to self-judgment, with love. Look inside of ourselves and see, hey, I didn't learn this yet, so it's fine. I know the life is bringing that to me because it's something that I'm invited to learn. So in that posture, we irradiating love for ourselves and love for this process of learning. And we know that we are aware of our reality, that we are apprentices still, but in a learning process, like we saw in the 115, we have this mission to know the truth and to get near to God. So we are in this process, but we have a divine origin, which means that we are God's children. So we have the potentials inside of ourselves, the power within ourselves to be able to deal with any situation that we encounter in our lives. And I would like to bring again, I have brought this in other talks, but I would like to recall the question 919A, that St. Augustine explained to us his process of self-learning, of self-discovery. And it's very helpful for us to understand ourselves and to try to discover a little bit ourselves. This is a process that is long and constant in our lives, and just give us more opportunities to deal better, to make good choices in life, to deal better with our options in life, with our challenges in life. And I would like to bring another passage from the Gospel, where Jesus give us another advice, how we can learn, how we can develop this virtue called humbleness inside ourselves. So in Matthew chapter 18, we see, at that time the disciples came to Jesus and asked, "Who then is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven?" He called a little child to him and placed the child among them. And he said, "Truly I tell you, unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven." Well, with this maxim, with this teaching, we can see that Jesus is telling us how essential is this virtue, humbleness, because when he brings a child, what he is showing to us, he's giving us a symbol of simplicity, a symbol of humbleness, because childs, they are simple in the heart and they are open to learn. So that's our invitation, to humble our pride, to think us as apprentice, God's children that are here to learn. Jesus also brings similar statements in other passages as well, when he says, blessed are the poor of spirits, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. What he means with the poor in spirit is with humbleness, like poor and humble, right? And when he says, who desires to be the greatest amongst you, let him be our servant, or he that humbles himself shall be exalted, and he who exalts himself should be debased. So he brings many passages where he shows us the importance to be humble for our learning process. Another quote that I would like to bring is, love the truth. To be humble is to love the truth more than yourself. This is a quote from Comte Sponville, that it's a French philosopher, it's a modern one, but tell us so much about, sometimes we have this behavior of defend what we think with in a way that we don't admit others people's truth. So sometimes my truth is not the real truth. Sometimes what we believe, what I believe, is not the real, is not the truth, because I am still in a process of learning. I have limitations. So my point of view cannot be correct. So I may be wrong. And when we are opened, we accept others' truth. We accept that we are not all the time with the truth correct or right in our statements. So that brings us that we need to love the truth more than ourselves. We need to understand that besides I think that's correct, maybe it's not. So I accept what others say about the same option, the same opinion, or the same situation. And for a good example of that, love the truth and not yourself, we can bring Paul the Apostle. When he haven't met Jesus, he had a truth belief, a very strong belief about the laws, about Moses, that was correct, but there was other truth that he didn't see because of his pride. When he met Jesus, he was able to see how wrong he was, and then he restarted over. And that's the invitation that Joanna de Angelis brings to us in the same book, Self-Discovery. To cultivate this, or to cultivate humility, is to move forward without getting caught. It's to project the best of oneself on the paths of the road. It's to forget all evil and joyfully start the task of love each day. So what we can reflect about this statement from Joanna. Humbleness, it's a very necessary virtue for our progress. And remember, our progress takes us towards God, which means our happiness. We recognize everything that we have been receiving from life, and we awake for the beauty of life. We restart over every day, thinking, today I know a little bit more than I learned, than I think that I learned, I knew yesterday. So today I'm able to go a little bit further, to extend a little bit more my knowledge, my thoughts, my feelings. So each day it's a new opportunity to restart with joy, and love, and cultivate humbleness to know, I still don't know, but I know a little bit more. So that way we can really understand our real state, our how we are now, but all the way that we came from. And talking about love, humbleness is connected deeply with love because it leads to love. According to St. Augustine, the humbleness is a conscience of the feeling of our small moral values in comparison with the bigger laws, with the divine laws. And also he says, where humility is, there is charity. They are sisters virtues. Because without humility, the self, he means here with self, ego, our ego, occupies all the available space and sees the other as just an object. When we don't have this view that the others, our neighbor, he is in the same situation as I am, that we are all together here in the same pathway towards God. If I don't have this indulgence feeling towards my neighbor, I'm not able to practice charity. The charity, it's important. For charity, it's essential to have the humility, the humble feeling, because I can see my neighbor as I am, still imperfect, still striving to be better. And with this mindset, with this humble mindset, I'm able to help, I'm able to see that others are very important for my progress, because I can see myself in the others and I can see others in me. And I can learn from them, and I can teach them. So we are here in a very dynamic exchange of experience, of love, of fraternal, in a fraternal way. So if we have this humble mindset, we're going to see that we can help others, but we can also be helped by them. So, and then we create this affinity with each other, and we start loving this unconditional love, that we are all part of the same family. We are all in this planet together. We are all God's children. So humility leads to love. And another important quote that I would like to bring is, humility is humble. Looks a little bit weird, but sometimes it's very easy for us to have this illusion that we are being humble. But humility is a humble virtue. Even it doubts that it is a virtue. Whoever recognizes himself as such shows only that he or she lacks it. So if I say, I am a humble person, which that means that, I don't know, because when I state that means that I'm proud of. I have pride, I am very proud of something that I think that I have. But this virtue happens so naturally, that the person that is really humble doesn't know, doesn't understand he or she as humble. So humility is not expressed by social status, by I am poor so I'm humble, oh I am introspective, I am humble. No. This virtue, humbleness, it's perceived by the feelings and attitudes that we have. A humble person is always angry for knowledge. The humble person is always keen to learn, is always interested to become better. The humble person is always insatisfaction, has this insatisfaction of what he or she is always thinking, I need to be better, I want to be better. And not in a demanding way, but in a natural way that, like Socrates used to say, I just know that I don't know. So with that feeling, we know that we didn't get that, we don't possess that virtue in total developed in ourselves yet. We still have a long way to go, a long pathway to follow, to develop day by day, because the knowledge is gradual. Like we saw in the question 115, gradually knowledge the truth. So we are still apprentices, but with a huge potential to be masters. If we are humble in this process can be easier, can be full of contentment, full of joy, full of happiness, relative happiness, but still. And we cannot we need to show that we cannot stop, or what I mean is we cannot finalize this talk without bringing again our model, our guide, Jesus, as a huge example, as the best and the most beautiful example of the humbleness person. So Jesus' model of humility and love, Emmanuel brings this quote to us, reflecting it from heaven to earth as a pledge of redemption and beauty. The Christ of God was born in the straw of the manger and said goodbye to men by the arms of the cross. So, from this book, Thoughts and Life, from Emmanuel, Emmanuel shows us the planetary governor making himself small and the humblest man in the earth. He showed to us that he is humble since his birth until his death. He walked among us, teaching us and practicing the virtue of humbleness. Remember, as we can see in the Gospel of Spiritism, there is a message from Lacordaire where he says, remember Jesus who saved us, remember his humility, which was so great as to put him above all the prophets. So, who wants to be the great, or the great among you? Be the servant. Jesus came to us and he was our servant in so many ways. And he is our model. He is our example to follow. And to finalize our conversation today, I would like just to keep this message, to leave this message for you. Let's try to cultivate the seeds of humility in the soil of our hearts, so we can reap the fruits of peace and happiness. We will always find happiness inside of ourselves, with a humble feeling that we still don't know, but we are open to know, we are open to learn, and we accept this process of learning with our hearts full of joy and full of hope that one day we will get up to our destiny, that is happiness. Well, hopefully I was able to give you some reflections. Let me see what people are saying, if there is anything here. Yeah, so Eric saying, Dear Sonia, I believe that the experiences of life teach us humbleness, although we can revolt. Yes, for sure, it's a choice. It's a choice, Eric. But with humble, if we are humble, we are trying to discover ourselves. We are in seeking for answers. With this humble feeling, we are able to make good choices and not revolt against the challenges in life, but accept them as lessons that are there for our happiness. And my mom used to say that when Jesus closed one door, he always opened a window. So there is always possibilities to get better, to be able to find ways to learn to contour the obstacles, like the water, right? We don't need to fight against the water. Against the obstacles, we need to learn from them. That's the invitation. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you all thank you, Victor. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, everybody, for joining me today. I'm so happy to be able to be here and to reflect a little bit about this beautiful virtue. I feel deep inside that I was touched by this teachings, and how important this virtue is for me. How important it is to bring me this feeling of peace, this feeling of contentment. Hopefully I was able to pass this feeling that I am having now to yours, and please forgive my mistakes, forgive the principles that I brought that maybe you don't agree, but as I said, I am still a apprentice, so we are here to learn from each other. Yeah, so I would like to do our final prayer now. So let's close our eyes once again and say, Dear Lord, our Master Jesus, and all the benevolent spirits that are among us today, that assist us with our struggles in life, challenges. Thank you very much for your presence, for your help, and motivate us to keep learning, to keep striving life, to keep seeking for the happiness inside of ourselves. Help us to build it up, this beautiful virtue inside of us, that it will for sure bring us peace, bring us joy, bring us a lighter way to follow the steps left from Jesus to us. May our hearts and our souls keep this knowledge and this goodwill to practice this beautiful virtue inside of ourselves more and more, and as such bring so much happiness to our lives and to the lives, the ones that live with us. May the peace of Master Jesus be with you guys, with each of you. Bring light, bring happiness, bringing peace to your lives and to your families. Everyone, I wish that everyone has a wonderful Sunday full of lights and joy and peace and health. Keep safe. So be it. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful Sunday. See you next week. Thank you more. I was.